And we are live. Welcome back to On the King's Dime. It is another Monday night, the 30th of January. We are well underway in the season, about three-quarters of the way through now, I believe. I have Andy with me as always.
Yep. Hoi.
And we're going to be breaking down the round 15, was it? Round 15 game against the
15.
Taipans?
That's it, mate. 5 to go.
Game number 21, round 15, single game week for us this week. Taipans coming off a 2-game Thursday, Saturday. Did they look a bit tired to you, Andy?
They did a little bit, and they even got some of the young guys in because I think they were tired. I think it takes a lot for Big Nate jae'sean to back up Thursday to Saturday. So 48-hour turnaround. Probably don't have the depth and the physicality in their squad to do that. And they didn't have Quat Noi as well, which is
that's kind of a low key. I think that's been a bit of a big blow for them. I've been watching the Taipans. I don't know about you, but I've been watching the Taipans pretty closely, riding them as hard as I can in the tips. I don't know about this team coming up against this Sydney team. The Taipans kind of didn't look like they had the firepower. They looked a bit tired. Jae'sean has been shooting the ball for them quite well, but he didn't have a very good night. And then if you kind of neutralize the Newell, Machado, and Oliver combo, it kind of loses. They lose firepower pretty quick.
Yeah, they haven't got much scoring options outside of that.
Nate jae'sean only played 14 minutes. I noticed they didn't really toss the ball into him at all, which is a sort of weird thing if you're playing against the Kings. For me, you're tossing the ball into Nate jae'sean every time he's on the floor. You're just going straight to him. Against Bogut, against anyone, because I don't think we had anyone that could really guard jae'sean at all. Yet they didn't really do it.
Yeah, I don't know. They like to play a lot of mid-range kind of with Machado and also try and get pin downs on the 3-point line at around about the 3 and 9 o'clock. But that didn't seem to be falling. They weren't getting the right shots. It looked to me, Machado looked a lot of breakdown of plays early. That first quarter/half was just a cacophony of errors on both sides. It was some of the worst basketball I've seen all season, to be completely honest with you. It was just
from any team or just the Kings?
From both teams. That was just turnover after turnover. A lot of drives and dishes into the opposite players. It's like they were, passing blind half the time.
And I thought it was a pretty good performance. So the score ended up being 92-83. There was a slight hint there might be some garbage time, but I noticed Will Weaver kept the starters out there till quite late.
I think it was like 30 seconds of garbage time. Wasn't huge.
The game was kind of over towards the end of the game. We'll get the ref ran out of the way early. Did you see that unsportsmanlike right at the end on Hunter Madden?
Oh,
I've watched it about 6 times, and I'm looking at it going, look, what? That doesn't even make sense, that call, why that was unsportsmanlike. I don't get it. And the game's over. Like, there's 6 seconds to go. We're up 10. Like, let's go to the monitor. And then I'm watching. I've looked at it. I've slow-mo looked at it. I'm going, what? How wasn't that just like, it's nothing, thanks. We'll shoot the free throws. Game's over. I was just like, what is this?
It's power plays. That's what it is, power play.
Crazy. They had to get their screen time. So we'll get that out of the way. I think the refs were pretty good in this game, so we won't have to go too much further in depth on that. But yeah, this game, the first half was a bit of a struggle to get through. Both teams didn't play that well. It was obvious the Taipans were out of juice, pretty sort of like they were struggling to get into rhythm. But at the same time, I thought we were playing defense pretty well in the first half. We looked pretty solid.
Playing good defense, it's kind of the benefit of having Cooks and Bogut on the floor at the same time. But yeah, man, Cairns look gassed, and I think that's really a problem because they've got such a short lineup. They don't really have a lot of bench depth that their starters are just going to get gassed straight away playing back-to-back, so you can pretty much guarantee a win in that kind of turnaround with the depth that they play at. And they had a couple of young guys in there that played okay, but they were pretty much out of their league compared to a fresh Sydney team. And leaving Kickett open at the high spot every time. It's like, why do you do that? That's just suicide.
I think they've got some issues with their Chubb lineup. Well, obviously, like Deng's like the inverted Chubb, like he's the stick man. It's hard for him. Like it was very early on. I got in my notes here. JT on Deng, there's just way too much size and power, and then they quickly switched him off onto Cooks, and you could tell that Cooks had him for sort of size and pace and could stay in front of him and had the girth to kind of stop his momentum. And you could tell Deng was just resolved to just shooting 3 balls. He shot 2 of 6 from 3. And I thought that was it was a nice move from Will Weaver to just go, all right, we'll throw JT at basically Newell, who's not the greatest defender. He tries, but he's not that great. Deng, and then Oliver, I didn't think played that well. I didn't see him getting any love on the pick and roll with Machado. That's where he's doing a lot of damage, getting to the rim, like sort of Sean Long finishing plays. He finished 1 dunk, but settled for shooting some threes. And I'm just like, every time, shoot a 3, Cam. Keep shooting them. I'm great.
Yeah, because it was none of 7 last week. It was 6 of 22 from the field. Sorry, on Thursday night. And it's just, that's some volume that you don't necessarily want from a big man.
And if you look at, it was a minus 22 on the night, only had 7 rebounds. I think that was an important sort of marker planted in the sand, like a flag planted in the sand for the Kings to say, that tri-tip lineup of Deng, Newell, Oliver, and Jeric shooting threes, and Machado sort of dishing up dimes. I thought we neutralized that pretty well.
Yeah, I think the X factor for them, obviously Kawhi Noble not being there and Jawai probably being a bit tired. Against the full strength Cairns team, it's going to be a lot harder. And we're going to have to shorten this rotation up. I think there's a lot of chopping and changing in lineups. And any kind of offensive lineup where we're trying to score quickly can't have Bogut and Cooks on the floor together because there's just zero offense. And they kind of get in each other's way when you play with Newley, Cooks, and Bogut as well. There's too many big guys.
Yeah, I think we should quickly just talk about this team's offense. Like I'm gonna do a couple of videos on our offense. My video, like shout out if you haven't seen my video on our defensive issues. That was right before the Adelaide game where we played pretty well defensively, and then this game where we played really well defensively. 2 different point guards. Like my next one's gonna be about the point guards, but this team has a lot of just sort of 2, 3, 4 guys that are massive and all kinds of strong, powerful, and can stay in front of guys and defend. And against a team like the Taipans, I think they do a lot of their damage in that mid-range area or that mid-size area where they can kind of get over other teams. But we've just got way too much length and power defensively, and it was kind of on show. I thought we defended really well. Cooks, his offensive game, man. It just doesn't do anything. And if you can hide him, it's all right. You can tell he doesn't want to really shoot the 3 ball 0 of 2. But I think there's a wrinkle issue in there where we've got to sort of sort it out towards the end of the season.
Yeah, it seems like he can get and finish if the lane's open, but any kind of contact or fighting through contact, and it's a little bit of a worrying issue. The other worrying issue is just Lozada is just losing all his touch completely.
I don't know if he really had that much touch, like smoothness touch.
I don't know, man. You watch him preseason and we're just like, wow, this kid is going to be phenomenal. And then first couple of games, good, decent games, and then the cliff has just, it's just been a nosedive.
But was his like the wow factor at the start of the season more about his power, his aggressiveness, overmatching on guys and highlight plays? I don't feel like I've seen the touch side of his game really yet this season.
Not during the season. I thought we saw more of it in the preseason. That was kind of overpowering smaller guards, getting to the hoop. But defensively, he's quite good at mismatching and switching on guys, and that's something that we have to do better against Perth is the switch, because fighting around screens isn't going to cut it. But his lack of aggressiveness is probably what I've noticed since he had that back spasm injury. Just does not want to get injured. It seems like he's saving his body as opposed to getting to the cup at all costs. Whereas a lunatic like Moller would just go hell fly into the cup with no respect for his own body. Same as Casper Ware in many respects as well.
Yeah, Casper's the same. Moller's kind of a big miss. I was looking through some really old footage from the start of the season. And like the way we were moving the ball at the start of the season is kind of still not there again. Like it's disappeared. Yeah. Taylor's coming off the bench, not really providing much. It's really basically the Sean Bruce and Daniel Kickett combo. That's the bench unit. Like that's it. And you can tell Weaver's going to that Bruce Kickett pick and pop combo. A lot of trail Kickett threes, like he's shooting the 3 ball quite well. Over the season, Kickett's shooting at 52% from 3. Like that's insane. If he was shooting the free throws at 90, he'd be a 50-50, 90 this season. That's phenomenal.
It was a really nice play in the second quarter where Bruce drove in and you could just see Kickett slink away from Oliver straight out to the 3-point line, and you knew that dish was coming, and it was just perfect.
He
man.
knocked
That's
it down. It was wet as too. It was, and he was like, yes, I like that. It's not going to happen against every team, but I feel like the Oliver Newble combo is quite easy to kind of exploit with Newble's not the most astute pick and roll defender. And then when Jarwai's out there, you kind of just like, there's just another body that it's quite easy to kind of, for a guy like Kickett to slink away from. But those two have been, really, really good off the bench, the real scoring drive and punch. So shout out to those two for this season. Any sort of other things early in that game? It was just a raspy game, man. Both teams didn't play all that well.
It was a hard-fought win, and it was a timely win. I think we needed this pretty badly. 2 games clear of Perth with a game in hand. Is that correct?
I will just.
They're on 14 wins.
Yeah. Hang on. Nah, we're a game ahead. So we're 15-6. They're 14-8.
Okay. So yeah, game ahead and a game in the books.
And what other notes have I got from the rest of this game? The bench unit, man. Like, this bench unit this year, does it feel a lot better than last year? Like, it feels it has lots more cohesiveness.
Yeah, well, anything's better than David Ware.
But David Ware was the starter last year. It wasn't like he was playing much in the bench unit.
I consider him bench because it's a much better bench. It's a bigger lineup. Sean Bruce is 6'3". Last year we had Kyle Adnam, who's a quite skillful player, but just moped on defense, just slow and
small.
Can't really get in front of the guys. Everyone can just use their size. Casper Ware is definitely a better defensive guard, and you don't really see that bench unit when they run with him, become poor defensively. I think probably Kickett stepped up his game defensively a little bit this year as well. Definitely playing into better streaks. Bogut's just not been.
No, I think he's been better the last couple of weeks. It looks like he's starting to ramp himself back up towards the playoffs.
Just wondering if we're ever going to see what we saw last year, or if this is just kind of it.
Is there room for that this year? Let's have a quick chat about it. Like, I don't think there's room in this team for his kind of offense.
No, I'm talking about his defense. I'm talking more
defensively. I don't know if we're playing that way. I think we've got a lot better sort of like lock and trail, sort of like drag down and pin in defense guys rather than just like letting go here, just take on Bogut. Plus, I think teams are just playing that defensive guy, but like that defensive strategy way better. Like a lot of guys are shooting floaters. It looks like floater games are getting better this season. Like we have no floater game in this team at all. Like none of our guys are really that adept at shooting floaters and like little runners or mid-range jumpers. That's where we kind of missed Kevin Lish. That's kind of where I thought maybe Diddy would develop his game, like run the point off a screen, shoot an elbow jumper. A couple of times he's gotten to the rim, and his push shots and his little scoop shots are just like they're heavy and no finesse at all there. Deshaun Taylor's got no finesse at the rim either.
Deshaun Taylor has no inside game whatsoever.
Nah.
Has a 3-shot that is kind of feast or famine, but there's no inside game.
No, he has no go-to scoring option. So this is one of the other things I was going to talk about is like ways we can score the ball is it's 3 or drive to the hoop. And I was talking to you before we started, like we don't seem to be able to run that kind of action that gets a defensive breakdown and gets a guy an easy bucket. Like a couple of times it's happened with Cooks to get dunks. I noticed Sean Bruce had a nice nutmeg on Nate Jarwai. That was pretty sweet to get Casper Ware open. But he was open because there was a breakdown. Someone set a pin down and he got to the ran baseline and was wide open. And a lot of the time, like I'm sitting there watching it and just going, all somebody needs to do is set a down screen, and he's getting to the hole because NBL defenses don't really pay attention to that. They're all just kind of standing there ball watching their man. Like if Kickett or someone big or like JT or even Cooks can set pretty good screens, if they can set down screens, like these guys are going to get to the hole. But the other thing too is we don't make those cuts. So it's like, if you're not making the cuts, we can't find you. If you're not screening for guys that aren't making cuts, we can't find you either way. So that's a bit disappointing. What other notes have I got here? It was a pretty sweet Bogut dunk late in this game. It's good to see him. Like, that was also one of the rare moments this season where you've gone, oh, Bogut just had one step on a guy and put the ball on the floor and just got through and dunked. Like, we haven't really seen that at all this season.
No, we haven't seen a lot of that, but he's been catching the ball much higher in the post as opposed to, deep. I think defenses are getting smarter and realizing that you have to kind of push him out and then double team him quickly.
Yeah, just don't let him pass at all on the elbow at all.
Yeah, pretty much. Get to him early, get to him low, pick his pocket, and then move off. And you see that rather than double teaming late, it's double team early in the back down sequence when he doesn't have great control of the ball, and he can usually pick his pocket. And some of his passing finesse has probably gotten a little bit careless.
Yeah,
like a lot of baseline cuts that there's been no pin down set for, so it's not really, you're not really cutting. You're just hoping that this ball gets through like a leg or a fumble to get to the guy, whereas you need to set that pin down.
There's been a few like really, really early. Like I've passed this ball like so early that the guy's got to like make 4 steps before he gets to it, and you're just like,
yeah,
why are you making that pass, man? Like, there's no need to pass it that early. But the other thing too, like Casper's chemistry with Bogut has kind of been up and down a little bit. Spoiler alert, I'm going to do a video on Casper's troubles, his funk. So that'll come out in the next few weeks, next few months.
40% from 3 this game.
Not too bad. So 4 of 10. Yeah, I'm not going to go too far in depth because I'm going to go in depth on the video. But there's some things I'm seeing with Casper that from last year that he's just not doing this year, and it's having an effect on his rhythm. It's obvious to see that if you look at Machado can easily kind of just go, oh, I'm not going to score the ball. I don't need to take over. I can just run little pick and rolls, dime guys up. I don't think Casper has that in his locker, really. I don't think it's his go-to move.
Zero high down screens for Casper to shoot on the run. Zero.
No spoilers, man. No spoilers.
Zero. Yeah, man. That's
a Bogut thing, man. That's a Bogut thing for sure. Like, Bogut doesn't set those screens. Like, Bogut's not going, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to outrun guys, and I'm going to give this guy a high down screen, or I'm going to run to the elbow, run out, and set something high. Like, he doesn't do that at all. Like, you watch guys like Pinot do it for Southeast Melbourne. Who else does it? Perth does it. Kay does it a lot. And Hunt, now they've got a Plumlee. There's a Plumlee has entered the league. Sweet.
Just picked up a Plumlee.
That it's doing nothing for my fear factor at all, I'm just going to say. But yeah, like, I don't know. Like, I don't think, like, we've got a lot of good screeners in this team. I think we could get a little bit better with our screening. But at the same time, like, guys just want to, like, the rest just want to call illegal screens too much. And I've noticed that Bogut just gets called on for like these whack illegal screens, and he's just like, really? So I guess maybe that's a sort of X's and O's thing that we're not really looking into. Playing a lot of screen basketball, screen heavy stuff. What about Brad Newley in this game? I thought he was pretty good. He drove to the rim a few times, got an and one that was pretty sweet. I was like, every time he gets the ball and he's out on that 11 o'clock spot, I'm like, put the ball on the floor, put the ball on the floor, put the ball on the floor, put the ball on the floor. He finally did it, which was good. He got an and one.
Yeah, a little bit too much shooting from beyond the arc for my liking in this game. Trying to get to the hoop is probably his best call. But again, with Cooks and Bogut, it's kind of, you are struggling for paint space and open lanes as well. With guys playing in zone. So it's a little bit hard to get that sometimes. You can understand why he goes to the 3 ball. But, he's been shooting at relatively good clip, 33%, 2 of 6 this game. That's not bad. So if it's there, take it. If it's not, put the ball on the floor and try to get to the cup.
That's his move. And I think teams are limiting us in transition this season. That's why we haven't really seen just crazy El Toro like we did last year. I think it's an obvious thing to kind of limit us. Plus, we've got more weapons. The other thing, too, I'm noticing this team like gets out ahead of itself. And then in these sort of weirder lineups where you've got Cooks, Tate, kick it on the floor, and if Sean Bruce is not handling, like if it's Tate or Cooks handling the ball in a transition, like it just stops, and then there's no movement to make something for a player. It's just like Tate will dribble sort of towards the paint and then try and go inside like after he sees there's nothing going on. I think we can clean that up a little bit where, he's got to find a transition move to, instead of putting the ball on the floor, he's got to develop like a stop and go move which he doesn't really have. Like, it's just because it's the NBL that he can just completely stop and just be like, oh, I'm just standing here, like, 12 feet from the hoop, nothing's happening, and now I can drive on a guy because I'm one-on-one type of thing. Like, in the NBA, if he was to go over to the NBA, I don't think he's going to get that space.
No, definitely not. No, they're much longer.
Or
And
just
quicker.
smarter, like, and they know your tendencies, and they know that if you can't score from 12 feet, they won't respect you at all, and they'll wait for you to come inside. Whereas the NBL, like, guys like to push up a lot. It's a very, push up, I'm going to just get up in your face type of league with the full court press and stuff. Admittedly, not much full court press this year.
No, it hasn't been Nathan Sobey at Adelaide. God, I hate watching Adelaide play. Full court press like every game. It's just terrible.
So
Terrible.
Any other notes here? Nah, there was a couple of air balls, one from Jeric and one from Oliver. And that's about it I've got for notes. Should we go to the MVPs?
Yeah, mate.
All right, what do you got, Cairns MVPs? 3, 2,
I
1.
got three kick it.
Kicks.
Definitely
Yeah,
kick it.
I think kicks. I'm going for kicks as well.
Tate 2.
Tate for 2.
And
Yep.
Where for 1.
Where for 1. Yeah, I had Where 2. Who did I have? Did I have Bruce for 1? I think I had Bruce for 1, but should I go Tate? No, I'm gonna go Newley. I like Newley's play in this game. Defensively, he's pretty solid too. That's where his being sort of 6'7" and quite thick actually sort of helps. We've just got like a real wide lineup to put out there, which is good. And then should we go to picks for next week?
How many did I go?
Another short week. Sorry, you got 4. I got 5.
Ooh.
So yeah, I missed that bloody United and 36ers.
Mate, Melbourne are a real chance of not.
They're just all over the place. Melbourne's brutal. Yeah, having a look at this table here: Cairns 12 and 10, Melbourne 11 and 10, Adelaide 11 and 11, Brisbane just quietly 10 and 11, and then Southeast Melbourne have just kind of dropped out to 9 and 11. Then the Breakers, with that 5-game winning streak that came to an end, they're 9 and 12. So it's chockers around that sort of 4 spot. All right, next week, Kings start the round against the Breakers.
Kings.
Always Kings. Always. Phoenix at the Wildcats. Cats. The Knicks. Ooh. Now I got Cats. Hawks at the Bullets. I'll go Bullets as well. Bullets were quite good the other night. That's weird when Cam Glidden plays and he plays well. It's just like, wow, why aren't you playing 30 minutes a game? What's up with this?
Because he wasn't playing well, that's why.
Yeah, now he's sort of found a bit of rhythm. 36ers at the Taipans. Tough.
I'm going to go 36ers this one. No Kawhi Noi. Double week. 36ers.
Are they... No, Taipans are single. Both of these are single game week.
Yeah, coming off a double week though.
Ooh, I like the Taipans though. Ooh. Nah, I'm riding this 36ers train. I'm back on the 36ers train. United at the Breakers.
I'm going to throw the Breakers in there. I think the United are just all over the shop.
I think this has got United bounce back game written all over it. I got United. Phoenix at the Kings to finish the round. We're playing a double game week.
Kings.
All right, that wraps the tips up. I'm just going to go in and double check that I've got the right fixtures. Don't want to mess that up. Breakers, Wildcats, Bullets, Taipans, Breakers, Kings. Yep. Do we want to just have a quick chat about the upcoming Breakers game and then the Southeast Melbourne game that's to come also?
Yeah, I don't think the Breakers have the right lineup to win. I think Scotty Hobson's been playing really well, and they've been playing well as a unit, but I just don't think they have the girth necessarily to beat the Kings. And the Kings kind of always have it over the Breakers as well.
Scotty Hobson was really good, but then in those two losses they've had now over that weekend, like he was really bad, like turnovers galore. I think he had 9 turnovers in one of those games. And that's kind of how he's played. Like he got real hot for a couple of weeks, and then it's kind of been the heartbeat of the Breakers. And when he was out, they were terrible. And now, like these last 2 games, he was terrible, and they were pretty terrible. So he's kind of the key to that team. I think Sek Henry's out as well. He was RJ started the season, and then Sek Henry came in, and RJ's been just weird. Like he's so raw, man.
Yeah, he's not a polished draft prospect.
Nah, he's super raw. Super, like, chippy, too. Like, he gets so upset at the refereeing and just like, mate, it's Australia. Like, what are you doing? Like, relax. We're terrible. Like, these guys, like, earn, like, a quarter of what you earn in an hour, bro. So that's interesting. I think their team's all right. Like, New Zealand, like, you look at that team and you're like, a lot of hustle, but just not quite good enough, really. Like, not a great team, even though they've got a lot of heart.
Yeah, they really have to be on song to win. I think that's going to be a tough ask against the Kings.
Ashley's been playing quite well. But again, Ashley's one who loses his head really quickly. And that's where we've got an experienced guy like Bogut.
And no Ty Wesley because he's off seconded to China. So
Ty Wesley is out too. Yeah, that's another big miss for them. Out. He's gone. Rog Blow's back after he had that fractured face. Abercrombie's been quite good for them. Pretty solid, 11 points a game. Scotty Hobson, Corey Webster. You mean Corey Webster, not Ty Wesley?
Yeah, sorry, Corey Webster.
Yeah, that's all right. A bit of a misdiagnosis there. I was thinking something was going off in my brain.
They look the same, man. They look the same.
No, it's not that they look the same. It's they play the same way. Like, they're the same player. Like, I think Tariko White, Ty Wesley, and whoever, Corey Webster, they're all the same player. Like, it's that they operate this, and Nubel, they're all the exact same player. They operate the same way. They're the same size. They just get in mid-range and they shoot those mid-ranges. They're the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. So, look, I think we can beat them. They've been pretty fired up at home too, so maybe that might play into it. I think our team has got, like, they found, like, this piece, like, in harmony in, like, you watch us play. But also that's been a little bit of a detriment in that Perth and that Illawarra game. We kind of, that harmony turned to, oh no, how do we get out of this hole? Oh, and we lost, which that's an issue. Yeah. But I don't know if the Breakers, like a game against the Breakers, double game week 2, we've got to factor that in as well.
Yeah, but I think that we've just got Southeast Melbourne's number. They just don't seem to get past the Bogut effect.
Yeah, so we'll talk about Southeast Melbourne. What are your thoughts on that game also?
If Robertson doesn't score 40 points, they can't win.
What about Mitch Creek, though? We were, like, last game, we were gapping Mitch Creek pretty hard. And just like, yeah, shoot threes. Go on, Mitch. And then sort of towards, like, the middle and the end of the game, it was just like he was missing shots everywhere. And just like, yeah, keep shooting at Mitch Creek. Which also...
He's had an off week. Like, he started off pretty hot, but he's really come back down to earth.
Oh, man, he was playing just outrageous minutes. Like, he was playing, like, 38 minutes a game or something crazy like that. At the moment, he's listed as 34 minutes a game. It's still a lot of minutes, and I think it's kind of catching up to him a little bit.
Yeah. Although you'd have to admit, in the G League, he was playing some pretty serious minutes and heavy game load, so you'd have to think that his body was probably used to those kind of minutes.
Does that, like, is that better rhythm, though, do you reckon, in the G League? If you're playing 2 games a week, every week for, I think it was like G League, I think 17 or 18 weeks or something like that. Whereas in this, you're playing 1, and then you're playing 2, and then you're playing 1, and then you're playing 1, and then you're playing 1, and then 2, and then 1. Like, it's a different energy, I think, than G League. G League, like, you're playing more sort of, every third day over 17 weeks rather than, like, every 8 days sort of thing on average. So maybe that's sort of getting to him a little bit.
Yeah, it's harder to keep your shooting streaks alive in the NBL. I know that players seem to get hot for only short periods as opposed to 10 or 15 games like they do in the NBA.
I reckon it's a rhythm thing, man. I'd love to see a cup competition midweek. That'd be pretty good. Bring in a cup competition, like you just play like some sort of cup against maybe the lower teams in the associations. Can play like a FA Cup style thing.
Yeah,
it'd be good, like Wednesday basketball.
That'd be interesting.
And then you look sort of through this roster. Ben Madgen really has struggled this season, man. Really scarily bad. Like, watching some of his shooting is just like a real worry for them. But then just shoots threes and gets hot at like random times against us. He's had a couple of buckets late in games where you're just like, really? You're like 0-6 and then you just hit 2 like daggers? Get out of here.
Yeah.
Ty Wesley's back. He's still looking a little bit sort of under fitness, like a little bit lacking match fitness. He's averaging 11 points. He's a guy where you're like, again, gets into that mid-range spot where you're like, ooh, like that's something that the Kings have struggled against. But at the same time, I feel like our mid-range lineup now, like including Cooks, has got a little bit more sort of girth to it and can kind of shut these mid-range guys, these mid-range operators down. Dane Pinot, crazy, just like grabbing rebounds for days, like averaging like 30 rebounds a game in the last 3 games or something. 20, all right.
Yeah, but no one else in that team can really grab boards, so that's probably why.
And then Kyle Adam had a really good game against us in the last game. And then it took Robertson sort of playing poorly at the start of that game through to getting hot at the end, kind of stopping it from being a blowout. I don't know. I look at that lineup, their lineup, and go, yeah, all right, they don't really have that all-round presence. They've kind of got issues off the bench, and then if Robertson doesn't get hot and drop 40, which I don't know if you can. Maybe against like a Randall you can, but I don't know about Casper Ware. I think Casper Ware is probably too good a defender for him to have a 40-point game.
Or even Shawnee Bruce as well.
Yeah,
bit more size. Definitely a bit more size there.
All right, so it'll be an interesting week, a fizzing firecracker of a week, I think. Really a chance for us to go to 17 wins if we do win both games and cement. I think that's kind of really time to cement our playoff as I struggle here to open up the fixture list. So we've got Breakers Phoenix this weekend, then we've got Hawks, Melbourne, Perth, Phoenix, Hawks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games after this weekend. If we win these 2, I think it'll only take 1 to really guarantee finals, and then what we've got to do is basically keep our level high and not like last year, just be like, you have the top spot, whereas Perth were like, no, you have it, and then Melbourne were like, no, you two have it, and we're like, no, you have it, and then ended up, was it Melbourne that ended up on top, or Perth ended up on top?
Perth. Yeah, Perth.
And we were all like, everyone was just like, you have it. Like this year, I want to see this team go. We're taking top spot, 4 wins out of our last 5, bang, eat that, go into the finals, nice and happy.
That's it, home court advantage.
It was a real tell last year, eh? Like watching that team and just being like, ooh, that end of the season, ooh, and then just getting rinsed by Melbourne 2-blot. Ooh, that was awful.
That was.
All right, well, we'll wrap it there. What else we got coming? Is that game on Monday next week, or is that Sunday? Is that a Friday, Sunday?
Friday, Sunday.
So we'll be back probably next Monday to wrap this
Indeed.
game, wrap this weekend coming. And apart from that, you can like, share, and subscribe all the way across the bottom. We're on YouTube, Facebook, and we're on Twitter talking some slag about the refs. It's cool, nice and fun. And we have a Patreon too if you want to help us get some hosting. That'll go to our host. Our first goal is basically to get us hosted on something that doesn't get 8 episodes up and go, no, you can't upload anymore, mate. Sorry. So yeah, if you're feeling generous, chip us a few bucks there and we'll put that to good use, getting our pods on iTunes and stuff like that. I should take those logos off, but I haven't done that. We'll eventually get them up there. And if there's nothing else to talk about, we will see you guys next time
On the King's Dome.
All right, take it easy, everyone.
See you.